Hey, Stu.
Tom, how are you, sir?
Good, buddy. Good. Tactical Fitness Report with Stu Smith. Podcast number 39, Stu.
All right.
How to make time for your working out. Time management. This is all about time management.
Yeah, people don't take this seriously. And you get stressed with your everyday life and you think you just have no time to work out whatsoever. And in some cases it is true. There are some weeks in your life where you are working way too much and you might not even have a minute to yourself. But if you open up your eyes, get a little creative, you'll find that you might be able to get some things done during the week, during that busy period of your life, um, for at least stress mitigation. All right, when it becomes that crazy and you have no time to do anything, your workouts really need to start turning into, how do I relieve some of this stress? But I know for this conversation, we are going to talk about the young person who might work full time, might go to school, might be in high school or college. And he is trying, or she is trying, to prepare for some form of training, in their future, military, law enforcement, firefighter. And so let's focus on that group, shall we?
Yeah, one thing that the construction of this one, and for those that want to look up the actual article you wrote, it's called "How to Make Time for Working Out," and it's on military.com. Just do a search.
Yeah.
But you do a really nice job here, Stu, of laying out that it's about trying to figure out when in these stressful days do you have pockets of a few minutes to be able to piece them together to put in a full hour or more worth of working out, yet not finding that 1 or 2 hour slot to be able to do it contiguous. And I think it's really interesting. One of the points you were making here is that you can put in a lot of get a lot of stuff done if you can find these few minutes throughout the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, think about these podcasts that we're doing. You and I are pretty busy people, right?
Yes.
And when you're on a different coast than I am, and it's a weekend day, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, we made time to
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
chat. I mean, there are some podcasts I can see. Wow, it looks like I just woke up, and I'm getting sleep out of my eyes. But that's what you do. You make priorities. You have a little bit of discipline, and you make things happen. You don't let the grass grow under your feet. In other words, if you really want to do something, you'll get up and do it. So I've always found, for me, that first thing in the morning, I have typically nothing else competes with my day. So if I can carve out, an hour, maybe even 40 minutes some days if I'm super busy. But sometimes an hour to hour and a half, I can get everything done, but everybody else in my life is asleep, and
Yeah.
there's nothing going on, and this is before dawn, quite frankly. So you know those types of things take a little bit of discipline, once again, and some making priorities. And one of the priorities you have to make is that you're going to have to go to sleep a little earlier to
Yeah.
be able to do that. Otherwise, your lack of sleep is going to really screw up with your ability to recover and or want to do early morning workouts too.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You and I have the discipline of when we were young being forced into this early morning, first thing in the morning. It's the first thing you do is doing PT. But if I had my druther Stu, I think you know this, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's my perfect time. I've done everything I've done. Now, obviously I can't be working or teaching or anything, but if I have a day off, my favorite time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I got 2 hours before dinner. I'm warmed up. I've got everything done I wanted to do. I still have the evening left. I can't tell you how often I actually get to do that. It's so rare because by the time 4 o'clock rolls around, something else is going on.
Absolutely.
Kept me from doing it. And then I reverted many years ago. I reverted to late at night. The after dinner routine, working out from 8 to 10 or from 9 to 11 or even from 10 to midnight. I did that many years, and that was good, but you have to have the energy to do it, because if you're not careful, you'll plan on that, and when it comes down to that point, you don't have the energy left.
Yeah. Sometimes the days get long, and you can prolong them by doing a little workout. I've always found this to be very helpful. Break up my workouts before breakfast and after dinner. So, and you can also throw in a third one or an optional second one, for 30 minutes during lunch as well, if that works for you. So I would do quick one in the morning, maybe a cardio to wake up, at 6, just, 5:36, just to kind of wake up and get moving. Maybe a run and then jump in the pool, and now I've already showered, so boom, I'm out of there, ready to go to work if I have to. Go through your day, and then in the evening, right after dinner, where it's real easy to want to just kind of chill out a little bit after dinner. Lay down. If you eat too much, it's going to be really tough to do this.
Yeah.
Because one, it just eating too much just puts you into a like sloth mode, and you just want to sit in a lazy boy and start watching TV all night. So don't eat quite so much. But then if you need to get a lot of work done between 8 and midnight, which a lot of college kids need to study that, or you might be working a night shift or something like that. That's a great time to go in, get your PT, get your lift in. And that extra, 30, 45 minutes of lifting in calisthenics can really help kind of boost your metabolism up.
Yes.
So you can help stay awake for a few more hours. I don't know, whenever you were working out later at night, if you noticed that, sometimes it's a little hard to get to bed, after a workout. I mean, some people can manage it. I mean, I've seen people drink coffee before bed and go to sleep. So sometimes it doesn't matter, to people.
Right.
So I have always had a hard time going to sleep immediately after working out. So I use it as a way to wake up. So.
Yeah. So, Stu, that's really interesting because when you do have to do things, if you're working and you're working third shift, or you do have to do something from midnight on or from 2 a.m. on, I always thought working out late was the perfect way to get yourself ready. It's resetting your body clock, because the problem is we're so used to the rhythm of life, which is you sleep when it's dark and you're up and doing things when it's light. It's tough to do that in reverse for those. And I know you like me did a lot of late night stuff, and I actually worked third shift at one point in my life, and it's tough. It's tough remixing your life around that. But one of the things you said in the article was, Stu, when you started to talk about, say that you're a high school student, you want to be a first responder, or you're a college student, you want to be spec ops, or one of these professions, and you're training and you're following the training that you and others propose for this. How would you look at their day? Let's say they're in school, in high school or college. How would you propose that they would do this?
Well, I look at it a couple different ways. One, you obviously have before school, before work, before school period, right? At Navy, when I was, preparing to be a Navy SEAL. Or
as your wife thought when you were meeting her, a pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
remember the Denise story?
Yeah, that's a long story.
we won't get into that.
Yeah,
it wasn't as glamorous to be a frog in those days, Stu.
That is true. You had to be F-14 pilot.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was the cool stuff. Top Gun,
Top Gun.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we had before school, you had, obviously that time, and like I personally like to do some form of calisthenic running combination. If you can get to a pool, I found that to be very helpful, on the back end to just kind of thoroughly wake you up, and now you're ready to roll. And I tell you what, I was always more productive with schoolwork or my job or whatever immediately after working out. I mean, I still am now. I work out from 6 to 8. I come home, I start writing, organizing, preparing for the day. And between 8 and noon, I am just crushing it. Just it's my high peak time for getting things done. Now, at lunch, that's another time. If you can eat 20, 30 minutes, usually it rarely takes you an hour to eat lunch unless you have to drive somewhere to go do it and get stuck in traffic and all that stuff, which is just, kind of stressful. Make your own lunch, have it ready for yourself, go spend 30, 40 minutes doing something, and it can be easy. It can be a walk. A lot of people really kind of de-stress during lunch. Sometimes I'll walk my dogs. Sometimes if I miss my swim because I had to get my kids to school early, I'll go swim at lunch. And which I tell you what is really helpful if I have more stuff to do in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That second workout, swimming, really helps me stay awake, especially after lunch. Because sometimes after lunch you get that, whether you're in a class or you're at work, at that class right after lunch and you're like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Just trying to wake up. That will help with that as well. So once again, you're using working out to stay awake and more alert in your classes. Then after school, you may have a sport you have to do, an intramural sport, or you may not. That's prime time to get something done. Like you said, your 4:00 time is ideal. I'm right there with you. I love 4:00 workouts. In fact, I still go over to the Naval Academy and coach all the kids that are, trying to go special ops. And at 4:00, that's when we meet. We go from 4 to 6, and then they go eat dinner and study the rest of the night. And I come home and, lick my wounds from working out with 20-year-olds. But yeah, so that's always a segment for you. If you're in high school and college, there may be time there. However, you may be that kid that works all day and then, or goes to school all day, and then you're working in the afternoon after school. That's challenging, but if you can find half an hour, somewhere in between that transition, that's enough, and then you come back after that and try to do a little bit more. And here's why it's important. I would honestly prefer to prepare going first responder, special ops, anything like that, military, law enforcement, firefighter, doing schedules like this. I would rather be the guy who is working hard all day, whether it's at my job or at school, and squeezing in these workouts all day. Because when you get to your training, there's no 2-hour workout period and then you get to go take a nap.
Yeah.
There's no nap time at SEAL training. You have to be up on your feet all day. From typical day is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then after that, you're getting your stuff ready and for the next day, and you're done. So, police academies are the same way, fire academies the same way, military boot camp. I mean, the days are long, but the weeks go by fast.
Yeah.
And they just keep you busy. So if you can learn to kind of keep busy, that's just another element of the stress of your training to get to these jobs. It makes it a lot less, believe it or not, because you're just used to it. You're used to working all day. So, some of the best guys that I have that move on and they go on into SEAL training or some form of special ops is they're working like manual labor jobs, construction workers. They come in, they have to leave early for the workout to get to their work. But I know they're working, they're carrying 2x4s and shingles up to the roof, and things like that. They're doing that all day long. And then I see them in the pool, at the end of the day, finishing the workout. I mean, that is awesome. I mean, those guys have no problem with the time schedule and the busy day of going through, the selection programs. So that's where I think it's good training.
The other thing that you talk about here, Stu, is that when you're in many of these programs, your day is so scheduled that your workouts are scheduled as part of the day, but that's not the way the world works when you're done. And so you make that point in here that in the actual quote was Bud's was much easier on time management because it was all scheduled for you almost down to the minute.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I remember finishing my first week going through SEAL training. I was so used to, working all day, working out here, working out there. And at the end of the day, I remember we got off like at 4:30, 5 o'clock one day, and I was looking at my watch thinking, all right, I need to go get ready. I need to get my stuff ready, go work out. And I was like, wait a second. I spent 3 hours working out today, and then the others were just moving around, carrying stuff and, in classrooms and things like that. So, I realized that my day was done, and all I had to do now is just get my equipment ready for the following day. And sometimes that took some time. You got to get your uniform right. You got to clean your room. You're going to have inspections. All those things do take time. But, you're right. I mean, my ability to have to worry about time management was over because now I'm on their schedule. And yes, it's still stressful. It's still busy, and you got to get a lot of stuff done in their schedule. So there is some form of time management, but it required a lot less discipline on my side to fit it into my regular life like I was used to doing. I just had to do it, and these were my timelines that I had to do it by. And for me, I work really well on timelines. So if you tell me, hey, let's do this at 6 a.m. All right, I'll be there, right? Or I have a writing assignment that's due noon on a Monday. I'm getting that done. I tend to have a better focus on that, and that's the way a lot of any of these selection programs, academies, police academies, fire academies, you always have things to do by a certain time. And that is how you have to take your skill set from all this time management that you've been doing prior to going to this training. And that's how it now applies into your everyday life of being a good student at these programs. So it's a great skill, and you need to learn it, if you haven't. Like I said, like some of the guys that don't do well are the guys that have their whole day to train, and they train several hours. They're getting pretty hard, but then they take a nap in the morning, they eat, they work out again, they take a nap in the afternoon. Your body's probably stronger than it's ever been, with that type of work and recovery, going into your week. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with those type of weeks if you can squeeze them in every now and then. I kind of consider them vacations, right? When you're able to do
Exactly.
that,
Yeah,
that's what I do on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
I work out.
I can't remember, Stu, the last time I ever heard you talk about a vacation, but that's a different issue.
Right.
Right. nor me, right?
Right.
But one of the things about it, Stu, is that's interesting about this is that that those of us that have done that stuff, you get through these programs, whatever program you've been through, and that sets you up with a base, and you're now used to that amount of physical activity, that amount of different activities. But then as time progresses and you're in your various your discipline, your tactical discipline, not all the time, there's not always a scheduled PT. Now there is in the spec ops world usually, but not in all disciplines is there a scheduled PT. So you now have to figure out in those 12-hour days you're doing, especially if you're in the first responder game, right? You're in these long days. You got to find a way to make that be a part of your day. And I know, in mine, obviously mine's backed way off these days being an academic and that sort of thing. But I know for me, I teach in the evenings because all of our graduate students at Columbia, most of them these days have full-time jobs.
Oh, sure.
They've got to pay for these things. And so they're going to school at night. So we're teaching from 6 or from sometimes 7 until 10 or 11 at night. And these poor people are walking in there they're dog tired,
Oh yeah.
and trying to stay awake and doing what they need to do. And even for me, I have to rethink myself and now have to go back to the early morning workout, even though my normal process is I love that late afternoon or early evening or even after dinner. But it's tough because I'm so used to the first thing in the morning starting to work the moment I wake up, starting the reading and all this sort of thing.
Right.
So you really have to think it through hard. How does it fit into your day, and not, especially for people that are so focused. And in these tactical professions, you and I have a lot of respect for these people because they're really goal-oriented people. They work hard. And it's hard sometimes for even them to figure out, where do I do this and how do I do this and how do I fit it into the day?
Right. Yeah. Like we said earlier, it basically comes down to your priorities, right? And most of the time, the priorities that you have will be the priorities that, one, make you money, so you can
Yep.
feed your family,
Yeah.
right? You can't neglect those, so that is a set timeline in your day. And then whether it's before, during, or after that, somewhere in between, that's when you have to figure out what else you need to do to reach those next goals. And, whether that is a physical element to be able to reach those goals, a fitness test, a selection program that's very challenging physically, or like the people that you see every day that are working hard full time to get a master's degree in, business from Columbia, which I imagine can't be easy, and, I know you.
It's challenging, Stu.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, and so, or doctorate degree in the evening. We had a buddy of ours who's been working out with me probably since a little bit after I met you. So late '90s, he's been working out with us, and just a supporter. He helps us out administratively. He's been the one person who's done these morning workouts with me since I've been here in Maryland.
That's incredible.
And he's a great guy. And I remember, he in fact, he was an IBM guy. He worked
Is
for
that
IBM
right?
for 25 years. I know
Amazing.
you had some time there too.
I did.
But he left IBM after 25 years. And before he left, he was working full time and went to law school at night.
Unbelievable.
Right. For 4 years, he went to law school at night. He'd work out with us in the morning. And, he said he would use these workouts to just stay awake once again.
Yep.
And, made it through law school, got through the bar, actually became a patent lawyer on top of it. And now he works for McDonnell Douglas or Northrop Grumman and he's using his law degree as, for the things that they invent and, all their patent issues that they have. So, he's in his 50s, and he just crushed that thing, and he just, like I said, he had the priority of furthering his education, furthering his abilities to, provide for his family, and look what happened. So, it really comes down to priorities and discipline. It's nothing more. And once you start creating this discipline in your life for yourself, it becomes such a habit that it's not hard anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no difficulty in doing these things, but you have to get used to it. You have to get used to it to a point to a degree that if you miss it, something is not right in your world.
Yes. And you've gotten that back when what you feel is that you actually miss it.
Yes.
It's not that you feel guilty. It's that you want to do it and you're not doing it.
And I don't feel like it takes, if I miss a morning workout for whatever various reason, and I try not to, I mean, I can probably count, on one hand, how many workouts I will miss in a year. Right. And if I'm sick, maybe more than that, but, obviously, but, I have found that if I don't work out first thing in the morning and I come in here to my office at 8 o'clock, same time as I did before, I am sitting here like pounding caffeine. I am trying to figure out how to wake up. My brain's not working right. I wound up just like, screw this. I'm just going to go walk my dog for half an hour,
Ah,
and then come back in and okay, now I'm starting to feel a little better, but it takes me till about 10 to get productive. Whereas, right after my workout, I am already on it. I'm thinking of what I have to do, while I'm swimming, so I'm already working in my head. Sometimes I write some of my best articles while I'm swimming, and then I
there's
come in here and spit it out. So it becomes part of your life to a degree that it's hard to go without it.
one of the things you mentioned, Stu, in here, and is that it's be careful that you don't overdo it when you do this. You mentioned that in this, and that's an important thing, just an important scheme across all of this, because we're talking about people who are in all these professions who are massively focused and massively motivated. And so, I suffer from that problem myself, right? I tend to overdo it
Yeah, me too.
at times, just a bit.
Yeah,
Um, you're more paced and careful about it because because working out for you is part of what you do.
that is
It's
true.
it is part of what you do. And what's been amazing to me is watching how you're really careful to moderate things, making sure when you're injured, you've dealt with it properly, and keep, so that you don't end up with systemic problems. But spend a second on this issue of, and you made this in the article, made the point about make sure you don't overdo this when you break it up during the day.
Yeah, because at the same time, when you're living a high stress life with a lot of things to do, sometimes the last thing you really need is a high stress workout. What I mean by that is high impact, high intensity, heart rate, sympathetic nervous system just getting, just fired up. It's a great way to eat some stress hormones, but if you go too hard, you can just create those
Yeah.
again, so you're just, stressing out the body even further when your mind and body's already stressed out. So, sometimes you have to make that judgment call and um, actually choose an exercise that is less stressful. So, like I said, nice, easy walk with your dog, steady cardio, something just keeps the heart rate kind of low, but you're still doing something nice, slow jog, bike, elliptical, row, swimming, all of those that help you breathe and engage that parasympathetic nervous system. Just sitting down and breathing deep, is also another way to help engage that part of your body, especially, like I said, if you really feel like you are overdoing it with work, overdoing it with having to, pump the caffeine in your body to stay awake. Sometimes you just have to help metabolize some of those stress hormones by just starting to eat well, get a good night's sleep, and do some de-stressful workouts. Now, that doesn't mean you have to spend a month doing it. A
Right.
couple workouts in a week and you're good. And that's why I always do that mobility day on Wednesday or
Mobility day.
Thursday in the
Yep.
middle of my week. Oh man, it works so well, and it gives me the ability to do hard workouts, for the next 2 to 3 days. So
What something you taught me not too long ago, actually, was abs. That when in doubt, just do some abs. And we talked about the fact that I've been through some, treatments recently, and we talked about the one thing I did every day was I did abs.
right.
I couldn't get myself outside, obviously, because I was sun sensitive.
Yeah.
I couldn't really do much. I didn't have enough strength to do pull-ups or push-ups, but boy, I could do abs. And you've always said, and this is really true, your ability to function really depends on that core,
Yes.
your core. And if you can just keep that going during all this, at least you have something.
Oh yeah, and you have your foundation. of what to build upon, whenever you start working out again. And just to let people know, when you say abs, we mean the entire core.
Yes, the
So
entire
it's
core.
not just your six pack, you're
No.
working your lower back, you're working your upper
Yep.
back, all of these things that are
Stomach
attached to,
flutters, the whole routine.
yeah,
Yep.
hip flexors,
Yep.
and not just that, but just the flexibility of them all as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you can count crunches in there, but you're also doing dirty dogs and,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's the
swimmers
routine
and
that the
reverse.
routine that you have that define abs that do both sides.
Right.
And I would always end everything I did with stomach flutters for 30 seconds to a minute, and then a plank for 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
And you can always do that, even if you're really not feeling well. You can do, if you don't do it on your hands, you can do it on your elbows, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you can do this laying down anywhere. I mean,
Exactly.
it is a good way to go from laying down to standing up. So I always call it wake up with abs.
You
Wake
said everything is doing it with abs, right?
yeah, wake up with
Rest with
crunches.
abs,
Yeah,
wake
rest
up
with
with
abs.
abs,
Yes.
warm up with
Hey,
abs.
you know what? Some of those exercises, the way I like to put it, are just a little harder than sleeping.
Yes,
You know what I mean? They're just a little
100
harder.
flutter kicks, Stu, is just, it's no problem at all.
Yeah, little harder than sleeping.
All right, buddy. Well, this has been great. So this is Tactical Fitness Report with Stu Smith, number 39. This is
All
how to
right.
make time for working out. Later, pal.
All right, we'll see you, Tom.